Rockstar Games have always had a reputation of being a massive company that are very successful and release games that are very popular and, perform very well on the sales charts. But in today's video, we'll be talking about the future of Rockstar Games and what the future has in store for them. Now, this video is going to be a bit different, where it's just going to be me playing some GTA, talking about what I think is in store for the future of Rockstar Games. And we start it off with a wonderful crash. But I do think that there is a few things obviously that we all know about that are in store for the future of Rockstar, and there's a few things I'm going to just talk about that, they've been on the cards before, but it doesn't really look like they're going to happen anymore. And I'm going to start by talking, of course, about Red Dead Online, which is a game that's had lots of potential, or many would agree that it had lots of potential, but Rockstar never really, they never really started developing the potential that Red Dead Online has. They never really got round to it, to be honest, and they just, and people hated it, and people really did, and I was really disappointed that the game never really got the love that it deserved from Rockstar. And of course, I do think that one of the main reasons that Red Dead Online didn't get all the support that it could have is because it obviously isn't as big of a moneymaker as GTA Online. GTA Online, which I'm playing right now, is a massively popular game. There's, hundreds and hundreds of hours of content, and the game has been, it's been supported for about 10 years now, and throughout those 10 years, it's always been frequently updated with at least 2 major DLCs every single year, and that certainly adds up. So, it's got way more content, and even when Red Dead Online did get updates, sometimes they were, but usually they weren't to the size of the GTA Online updates. Stuff like the Frontier Pursuits update was definitely a good update, and that was one of the first major DLCs for the game, and that worked really well. I thought that was a great update, and the Moonshine update I thought was pretty solid as well. Not quite as big, but it was still a step in the right direction. But ever since the Moonshine update, in my opinion, things just got worse and worse. The Naturalist update, they had to wait 8 months. We got no communication for 8 months about whether there was going to be a new update for Red Dead Online or when it was going to arrive, and then we got the Naturalist updates, which I think was a good update, but to go 8 months with no communication just to get that, I think isn't really enough. And then we did, of course, get the Blood Money update, and we had that Bounty Hunter expansion, and no one really liked either of those. They were pretty, it's not to say that those updates were bad, it's just the fact that you had to wait so long for those to arrive, and it just to be such little content when they did arrive. It just made players disappointed, that especially when Rockstar they still to this day never connect with their fan base. Over on social media, they just don't really interact with their fans. They never really, occasionally they'll retweet some, some work that someone has done, some photography in game that someone has done, but they never really properly communicate with their fan base. And I think that's one of the things that sort of that's a disappointing part of Rockstar, in my opinion. They don't really have a proper social media team. Whether that's to do with Take-Two not wanting them to, we don't know. But, we will never know because Rockstar never really communicates. And it'd be interesting to see if one day that does change. Maybe with the launch of GTA 6, they'll become more interactive with their fans, we don't know. But Red Dead Online obviously seems like it isn't really going to get any major DLCs in the future. I can't see the game now, I can't see Rockstar going back to the game now. I do think there's definitely a good chance there'll be a next generation version of Red Dead Redemption 2. I've already done a video going over the next generation version of the game, and links to that is in the description below. But I do think there's a good chance there will be a next generation version of Red Dead. I think that's a possibility, and I do think that will mainly be focused on the story though. There may be a few Telegram missions in Red Dead Online that launch alongside it, but I can't see there being another major Red Dead Online DLC. Hopefully I'm wrong. I really hope I'm wrong. But I just feel like that is the way it is. I feel like if they were going to update Red Dead Online, or at least continue, significant support for the game, they would have already done so. I do think for a couple years now, we could just see a couple telegrams every now and then, a couple new missions. I think that could continue for a long time, since obviously the game still makes money, so there'd be no reason for them to stop supporting it. But it might be that the work they were putting in, they didn't feel was worth the money they were getting out. But many would also argue, the more work you put in, then the more money you're going to get out of it. So it definitely had loads of potential, but I think it launched in a state that wasn't really good enough. I think the beta, there was too little to play in the beta, so I think Red Dead Online, it never really got going, to be honest. There was never really enough there for players. They'd finish one update and they'd be unhappy because there just wasn't enough content, and I can see why. I just think the game launched in a state where there wasn't enough content in the first place. But that is my thoughts on Red Dead Online and the Red Dead Redemption 2 next gen version, which I think is definitely possible, and I think there's a good chance that will happen at some point, since right now, even on Xbox Series X and S with the FPS boost, that isn't even a feature on Red Dead Redemption 2, only on Red Dead 1, and on PlayStation 5 it's still just the same as it was. So yeah, it'd be nice to see a next generation version for that, particularly at least just a 60 frames per second patch. But I think With Rockstar, you know, they're either going to do it or they're not going to, you know, they're either going to go all out or they're not going to do it at all. So I think we'll definitely see a next generation version at some point, since that'll make a lot of money. They could easily just do what they did with GTA, where they resell it, they resell the game, you don't really get the upgrade for free, the full upgrade anyway for free, and people will buy the game again. Personally, I'd definitely buy the game again. It's a little bit, you know, a little bit greedy to make it not free, but that's the way Rockstar is with these sort of things. So I do think that even if it was paid for, loads and loads of people would still buy it, millions. So yeah, that's just my thoughts on that. And then there was also the rumours a while ago about a Red Dead 1 remake. I think that could happen one day. I think Rockstar will wait for the right time with that. Whether it will actually happen, I don't really know, but I think it's a possibility. I do think it's a possibility, and I wouldn't see the reason not to. At the moment, is it really needed? Probably not. Especially over on Xbox, you can play the game at, you know, about 4K, 60 frames per second, so it's like, you know, at that point, do you really need a remaster? But on PlayStation 5, the only way to play it is obviously by streaming it. And it's not even available on PC at the moment, but I don't think they'd do a PC port. I think it would just be focused on the consoles. But it's still cool to see, you know, the ideas that people have behind that. And it would be really, really good to see a remake for that. It would be very popular. But or even a remaster or anything really related to that game. But over on Xbox, it runs pretty well at the moment. So yeah, it would just be interesting to see what happens there. Personally, I think it's definitely something that could happen, but not for a while. The same goes obviously for a Red Dead Redemption 3. That won't be, in my opinion, for at least 10 years or so. I think, you know, maybe as we approach 2030, we could start looking at that being a possibility. But obviously, at the moment, the main focus is GTA 6. But just before we talk about GTA 6, I want to talk about the GTA Trilogy, a game that launched in a horrible, horrible state, but of course it did get a few patch updates along the way, and I have actually done a video going over a recent review of the GTA Trilogy in 2023, and links to that is in the description below. But I do think that there may be a couple more patches for that game, since the game is set to release on the Epic Games launcher soon. Interestingly though, it was supposed to launch on the Epic Games launcher in January, yet it never actually did, and Rockstar even said it would launch in January on the Epic Games launcher, then it's still, you know, it's not arrived. And the same thing goes for the mobile ports. We never actually got GTA Trilogy on the mobile phones, even when Rockstar said that would happen, and at the moment that's just still, even in the Take-Two earning calls, they just say that's, you know, on the cards, or at least it's in development, and we don't really know what's happening with that. So it'd be interesting to see if either of those do happen, the Epic Games launch of the GTA Trilogy and the mobile launch. So yeah, it'd be interesting to see what happens there. I think there may be 1 or 2 more patches, but even that may not happen. But it'd be nice to see more patches, since it definitely needs more patches. So yeah, that's just my opinion on the GTA Trilogy. I think there's lots of potential there, but at the moment it's certainly not reaching people's expectations. And finally, we do of course have GTA 6. GTA 6 I think is going to launch in 2024 or 2025, and I think we'll get the trailer this year in 2023. That's what I think is going to happen. That's my prediction. I would love to hear your prediction down in the comments below and how you think that will work. I think GTA 6 is going to be massively successful. I don't think it will launch in a horrible state, considering the amount of time they've spent on it, and it's Rockstar Games. When do Rockstar, other than the GTA Trilogy of course, when do they really release games that aren't in a great state? And of course, the GTA Trilogy wasn't actually developed by Rockstar, so that's something important to note. Of course, it's published by them, and that was a, you know, a lovely crash there. Of course, it's published by them, but it wasn't actually developed by them, so it would just be interesting to see how that does plan out. And obviously, I do think it's going to be massively successful, and yeah, I think it will release in either 2024 or 2025. I think any later, you know, it's really pushing it, since people are already getting, you know, people are finding GTA 5 outdated, even with this next generation version. That's kept players interested for a bit, but it definitely, you know, something new is needed pretty soon. And that's just my thoughts on that. And to be honest, that does just about wrap up things here. That is what I think is in store for the future of Rockstar Games, and just a few theories were thrown in there as well. Now, I'd love to hear your thoughts on this down in the comments, and now if you did enjoy this video, please be sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss any content just like this. Now, I have actually done a video, like I mentioned, going over the GTA Trilogy in 2023 after its recent release on the Steam launcher, and if you're interested in watching that, then the link to that video is on the screen now, and you can go ahead and join me over there.